All right, guys. Yes, most definitely. Let's get it. Hey, guys, what's going on? Uh, it's Triforce. Obviously, you guys already know that. I am back with a special segment today. Well, tonight, actually. I want to talk about a couple of things here. And one of the things I definitely want to talk about is how people in power or people of influence use their influence to control certain situations. And although they may have a valid excuse, it's just, in my opinion, dirty how they use it on certain things. So the topic of today, obviously, is low tier God. Low tier God's the truth. He's the light. He's the way. I know a lot of people are like, Triforce, why do you, why do you, what would be the word, Jagan? Why do I back low tier God?
Yeah, like why are you such a
fanboy?
Like, why do you support exactly?
And why am I such a fanboy? Well, we're going to get to that in a second. First thing I want to do, I want to introduce you guys to special guest today, EMP Evil Jagan. You guys can definitely check out his channel. Jagan, you can pop your channel in if you want. What's your channel again?
Everything is at Evil Jagan. So that's Evil JAGAN on Twitter, on Twitch, on YouTube. It's your boy. Let's get it.
All right, so you guys definitely check out him. He does a lot of anime reviews. In fact, he was the original reason why EMP came up with the whole concept of, like, we need to do anime reviews as well and do crossovers and stuff like that. So, Jagan is the man when it comes to that type of stuff. But let's focus on this stuff about, rising above the hatred with a guy I really like, Low Tier God. And I want to kind of bring some things into context. So, you guys know about the E-League, right? E-League's a new show that came out, right? And when it came out, it was about these players that they're trying to have compete, and the winner gets into the actual E-League. So Low Tier God was actually selected for the show, and in Low Tier God being selected for the show, there's been some negative press on him for being selected to the show, and there's a lot of things that are just completely out of context regarding him as a person, as a figure in the FGC, as a player. And I want to bring this to light. I want to literally have a discussion about it, and I want to literally blow open the whole thing against our Kappa, right, and against the what would we call this, the proprietary media platforms in the FGC that's supposed to provide information on either side of any topic or player or team, and how this is controlled by a select niche clique, whatever, of people, and they determine what information goes in and out. It's much like America. He who controls the media controls everyone. So your information that you're getting is very limited, and I'm open to challenge anyone to challenge what I'm about to say. You could come on the Discord, join us by voice, you could type in the chat, whatever the case may be. I have no problems with it. I'm also going to do a follow-up with this, like, it's just an actual standard video about it in the morning for tomorrow, which pretty much covers this entire stream that I'm doing, direct and to the point. But this one I want to have a discussion on it, as opposed to what I'm going to be doing tomorrow is more like a commentary on it. So let's get to it. I want to say shout outs to everybody inside the YouTube chat and so forth. So for the first thing I want to bring up, Jagan, before we even get into anything, I don't want to put any words in anybody's mouth. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to keep everything in context. So oh, hey, what's going on, guys? So hey, everybody, A-Train is with us on the stream, and we're talking about Low Tier God rising above the hate. right?
Yes, welcome A Train.
Yeah,
Welcome A Train.
welcome A Train. A Train. Let's. I came into this particular room solo because I really want to no cursing. I want to try to. I don't want anyone to use the excuse. Oh, look, they're so unprofessional. I want to actually address the situation seriously, and in a more not professional point per se, but in a more realistic human manner. A lot of people like forget that we're not robots. We're actually human beings. So I want to address this stuff. So let's get into it. So welcome A Train to the topic at hand. So
Alright.
obviously, Low Tier God was selected to be on the E League. When he was selected to be on the E League, one of the FGC's most powerful voice, due to his knowledge in legal, because it sure isn't based on any influence of anything he has done to help legitimize the scene. Few good people. Legal guy. Guy's a lawyer, got some connections, knows some people. Everybody wants to keep a lawyer, but he's in the fold because of that. But no hands-on. No hands-on in the community. Straight up. Ultra David doesn't put no hands-on in the community. And playing in a video game tournament isn't hands-on in the video game community. Yeah, he's a commentator. People will say, yeah, but Triforce, he commentates and so forth. But the question is, how did he get that job? And does he deserve that job over other people who are far more entertaining, far more knowledgeable, and have done far more to get that position? But they don't get that position because he has it. Like when we were on the On Blast show, Rasan said, like, how are some of these guys getting these jobs in these positions? And it's not about what you know, it's who you know.
Who you know.
Yes, that's just facts. This is not hating. This is not hating. This is us explaining the facts of how life works overall. Any industry, any platform, anything. It's just like it's what it is. But he has a job, right? How he got it, I guess that's irrelevant. But he has it, and he contributes to the community hands-on then. But what I'm saying is that I didn't see where he did any hands-on to get that. But I don't want to discredit the man because he does his thing in the scene now. So I guess that's what's relevant. But let's take a look at some of the things that he actually spoke on regarding.
Wait, can I say something just before?
Sure. Go on.
All right. So I want to preface this. Yes, Low Tier God has made a lot of fucking mistakes. A lot of mistakes, right?
Mm-hmm. Has he?
As far as when it comes to avoiding.
All right. Let me ask you a better question. List the top 3 crimes Low Tier God has committed against the FGC.
He has not committed a crime against the FGC, but what he has done, and we cannot ignore it.
Which is?
Well, first, his issue with Guilty, where he basically shamed her for being trans. There's the issue with. Actually, I don't even count Momoku because she was.
No. Hold on. Let's go back to the Guilty situation, right?
Guilty forgave him, and I'm not trying to bring it up and be like, oh, this is the reason why I understand it. Because if Guilty's able to forgive it, then.
But here's a question. Explain the context of how he shamed her.
They were in some sort of online argument or something, and then Low Tier God wound up ending up saying that he doesn't want to hear from an abomination it was like some savage stuff. It was something about her Guilty being an abomination, confused about themselves and blah blah blah. Like he went in that tweet.
So this was a social media argument that they had on Twitter. He had some few choice words to say about Guilty and her sexual preference or status, I guess it is status and whatnot. All right, have we taken into consideration Low Tier God's upbringing to something that is very new in society? This is what I'm talking about, context. This is the stuff that I don't understand about context. How do people expect anyone to accept something abnormal? Now, let's cut out what Triforce just said right there. How does anyone expect anyone in society to accept something abnormal? Someone would say Triforce. They're going to clip that part out and says, look at what Triforce said about transsexuals. He is a hater what's all the words for this? Hate speech, this, that, whatever, as if I have an issue with transgenders, right? But they take it out of context. 20 years ago, forget 100, we don't need 100. 20 years ago, was this normal?
No, it still isn't technically normal.
And it still isn't technically normal. Low-tier God is an adult. He grew up his entire life knowing things in society one way. A new aspect of society is being introduced to him. He's dealing with it as the best way he can as a human. This is abnormal to him. He uses the word abomination. That's a little bit hard, but who doesn't curse at other people, call them B's, N's, thugs, and etc., etc. when trying to...
Hold on, Triforce. Let me interject real quick, because we got to address things that we see in the stream. So, NoGuard06 says, quote, so his background is an excuse for being transphobic? Question mark, that's no excuse.
No one's saying that. No one's saying that. His background has nothing to do with him being transphobic. Him being transphobic is not a problem. Why is it everyone have a problem when someone fears something? So, oh, you can't have no phobia. You cannot be a phobic of any kind. So if I'm a arachnophobia, I'm a hater. You see how stupid that is? That is so stupid. It is 100% stupid. Who came up with that? There's nothing wrong with fearing something. It's another thing when you hate. Fear and hate are two different things. Context. Always taken out of context so that you can demonize people. That's how it works. So I don't have a problem with him being transphobia as long as he doesn't hate. As long as he doesn't hate. Hatred comes out verbally. Hatred can also come out physically. Right? When you get to the level where you're verbally hating, then that needs to be addressed. And a person can be corrected. No one is beyond correction. Anyone can be. Someone says something that PewDiePie goes on, N-word. I looked at the context of how he said N-word. Yeah, I understand. We sometimes misspeak, say things that we shouldn't say, that are mean and hurtful, negative words. So in Jamaica, there's a bunch of curse words. This is when I'm talking about how society is being removed. The human aspect of society is being completely removed. You're not allowed to have feelings anymore. Everything is based on a policy. So you're not even allowed to fear. You're not even allowed that. You can't be a phobia of any kind. You can't be homophobic. You can't be transphobic. You can't be arachnophobic. You can't be any phobic. You can't have no fear. Period. You're not allowed to have any fear. Because if you have a fear, you're a hater. When you put it into context, you're like, that's kind of true. So what if he has a transgender phobia, or he's transphobic, right? He can learn not to fear it anymore by simply learning about it and becoming accepting to it. Guilty and him spoke, they got over it. That's a +1. There's nothing bad about that. Why is it demonized as it's something negative? Two opposite cultures or dynamics in culture meet and they clash. That's what happens when opposites collide. They clash. They were able to talk about it. Even when verbal hatred came out of it, they were able to talk about it. He then apologized. This means he was accountable for verbally hating against someone that he feared because he didn't understand. He apologized. The other person accepted the apology. We good now. Now he's no longer transphobic. So this is progression.
Clear,
okay?
Just to be clear, I'm not aware if he apologized or not. I'm just assuming based on the fact that Guilty was defending him on social media.
Okay. Well, let's say he didn't apologize. Low-tier God now has the platform to apologize now. It's not out of question where he cannot apologize for it, as long as he's sincere, and that's subjective. In fact, a lot of these things are subjective, which is the crazy part about all of this. A lot of this stuff is subjection. But the point I'm trying to make is that this concept of where we're not allowed to be human, I don't see the crime. The man said something negative. It's no different from Logan Paul or Ninja or well, actually, Ninja said the N-word in context to him simply repeating a rap song lyric, which it does not count. I don't know how that even became an issue, but whatever. PewDiePie and many other people who have said the N-word, and we understand people make mistakes. People shouldn't say certain words. I say words I shouldn't say all the time. That does not make me a monster. It doesn't make me a monster. It doesn't make me a bad person. People do bad things, but it doesn't necessarily mean they're bad people. So that's one situation. What's the other two?
Well, Momo-kun is one of them.
What's the situation with Momo-kun?
He basically called her out for being a thought, and
Oh.
he made that video.
Okay, so TMZ stuff. Like this happens throughout the entire community all the time. Top players always call people thoughts. The only difference is that L0WTIERGOD voices it on social media where everyone else keeps it in private.
Well, let's give a little bit more context. It wasn't just that was true. He did call her a thought and stuff. But I guess what made people get extremely angry over the videos because he kept calling her fat and pointing out the defects in her body. That's a little bit of context on that.
Okay, so this makes him a demon.
I don't know. I don't agree, but A-Train's going with the third point.
Yeah, what's the third point now?
The third one is actually the first one,
Oh.
which was him versus Viscant and their little issues he credit for.
Which they settled it out in a video game. They was talking trash amongst each other, which was blown up in the community, put all over the different websites because it was content and everyone was chiming to it. So he did something that people looked down on, but the FGC lionized it and put it on media for entertainment. Hypocrisy. 1,000,000,000% hypocrisy. You use it for entertainment, but then you denounce it. That doesn't make any sense. And this is the problem with the FGC. This is the reality of the FGC. So when he says L0WTIERGOD isn't a representation of the FGC, actually he is. He's 100% a representation. He's what you're trying to hide. If you are what you are, show it all. Why are you hiding it? You see, you get caught when you say that. Oh, well, L0WTIERGOD is like, in fact, that some of the things that's been done in the FGC, L0WTIERGOD's a saint. In the stuff that really happens in the FGC. Do I think some of the mean things he says is right? No. Do I understand the context in what he's saying it? Yes. He's saying it in L0WTIERGOD's persona as a character. That's the persona of L0WTIERGOD. Very outspoken, harsh, rips into you type of dude. That is L0WTIERGOD. That is not the actual person, Mr. Sparrow. That's not him. That's a persona.
Yeah,
and everyone knows this. So why are they trying to connect their persona as a representation of the actual guy? Do you think the actual person cares about the FGC as a part of his actual life? No. So why is it demonized that way? Because those in power who don't want the person to rise up need to do to bring him down. How do I know this? Because it happens to me. It happened to me and still happens to me to this day. Dudes on Capcom Pro Tour Cup said, I'm in Jamaica with my bananas. You really said that on like live Capcom Pro Tour? Like you really said that? I'm in Jamaica with my bananas? What does that mean?
Yeah, it was Alex Myers, and no one said a word about it.
No one said a word about it.
If or some other player.
Wait, was this recently?
It wasn't recent. It was like maybe last year or a year or two ago, but it was on when Mike Ross was on the Capcom Pro Talk on his show. He made a little jab at Triforce talking about that, essentially that he was in Jamaica with bananas. But if someone made a joke about PR Balrog, that he was in Puerto Rico
with Platanos and his chancletas, it'd be a different situation.
Exactly. But the common theme that I want to point out is when things happen to black people, this is what nobody wants to address. It gets swept under the
rug because we are marginalized as actual people in society. The mentality of society is that we are less than the average human being. So what is good for others is not good for us. When a Holocaust happens to us, stop worrying about it. Get over it. You say something about the Holocaust to another ethnicity, you're an anti-Semite.
Yep.
So how does this work? So I'm speaking out. I'm definitely speaking out because I'm going to defend Low Tier God. It's a fellow black man. I see my former self in him, and I want him to rise above the hatred and how to deal with it. See, the thing is with us is that we have no problems addressing these social issues, from hatred, phobias, racisms, isms as a whole. I have no problem talking about it. A lot of people feel uncomfortable and they don't want to talk about it, and that's why the problem lingers. People don't want to talk about it. Become more understanding to the ever-changing and evolving society that we live in, so that we can become more accepting. We just
and on that, let me interject really quick.
Yes.
So in the stream chat, we have R2K Moon 2 says, I don't want to give him any props until I see a real change in him. And this is another thing we have to keep in mind, which was kind of briefly mentioned earlier. You have to separate the persona from the actual person.
Exactly.
When you go to a tournament and actually talk to the person, you may find out that they're not what you think they are. And let me use an example. Excellent Ventures, Mike Ross, Gutex, they brought up Low Tier God. What did they say? Both of them. They said, hey, yeah, Low Tier God's not that bad of a dude. That's pillars in the community compared in the eyes of some people. So I just want to put that in context.
Not to mention, Mike Ross, prime example, the Mike Ross you knew, and then the Mike Ross on his newest Reddit, Ask Me Anything.
Ask Me Anything.
You find out that that entire time it wasn't even the real Mike Ross.
What were some of the dudes saying? I didn't know Mike cursed this much.
What do you mean? Mike's always cursed that way. It's just there's a difference between representing yourself in a professional manner on a media platform and who you are in real life. Someone says, Triforce, I refuse to believe that you were like Low Tier God in the past. I see there's a lot of elements about Low Tier God that I was like back in the past. I was very rambunctious. What's another word for this? I was very I wasn't reserved as like how I'm reserved now. And don't get it twisted. Triforce can always revert back. It's not like it can't happen. I can dial it back and then we be on, when keeping it real goes wrong. But I understand that in order to represent my community, right? Shakur Simpson, thank you for the subscription. In order to represent my community and my African diaspora in this esports ecosystem, I have to set an example. There's a time and a place for everything. There's a time to let loose, go ham, and there's a time when you have to be like, all right, hold on, we're trying to get a message across, and the best way to get the message across clear and concise, we need to remove all the cursing, we need to remove all the personal feelings towards things, and look at the issue from an objective point of view, which is kind of what we're trying to do in this discussion, in this segment. But then there's other times where, man, forget all of that. We need you to get straight to the point, and that's when the cursing comes out, and we're more passionate about how we express ourselves. That's being human. We live in a society where you're not allowed to do that. It's considered to be wrong when you do stuff like that. Nonsense. In the black community, we call it having soul. And we constantly, in the black community, constantly say stuff against white people about this. White people have no soul. Their soul... Well, when you look at the situation from no, stop. That's not how you behave when you go home. That's not how you talk to your parents. It's not how you talk to your siblings. It's not how you talk to your friends when you're going out and you're regular. That's a facade. That is fake. It's not real. That's fake. So when you see stuff like this, let me give you an example. let's go to Ultra David. The comment, what is this? The comment attorney, right? With the assy news that Low Tier God is showing up on E-League, here's a quick story about him being on ESL King of the Hill last year and my thoughts. This is what I call a hit job. That's what this is. So
the first line.
The first
assy news.
Yes, exactly. So you're going to now attack the man based on a past experience you had with him and your opinions and thoughts about it. What is the purpose of doing this? That's the first question. What is the purpose of this? No one cannot tell me that the purpose of him doing this is simply to denigrate, slander. Well, it depends, because slander and libel all depends because whether it's true or not. But the purpose of this for sure is to denigrate Low Tier God's persona and his opportunity that was given to him by the E-League. This, and allow me to be unprofessional for a second, is a bitch move. That's what this is. This is bitch made stuff. Why would you do this? Let the man... Let me purposely denigrate Ultra David. Ultra David, if you have an issue about this, why don't you be a man? Because clearly you're not right now. Why don't you be a man and contact Low Tier God? Crap, you could have had Low Tier God on a YouTube. Hey, Low Tier God, I have an issue about you being on the E-League. I'd like to express my views about you face to face, or at least online to online, where when you're given a chance to defend yourself against my opinions against you as a player. And because my concern is to making sure that you represent the fighting game community in the best positive manner, and I'm not sure that you're capable of doing that. But I would like to give you an opportunity to try to convince me that you can. That would be what men do. But this right here is not manly. This is assy. Let me use his words. This is assy right here. Why would you do that? Let's go on to what he says. When the commentators found out about Low Tier God was going to be on the show, all of us were against it. We didn't want to give any eyeballs or legitimacy to someone with a significant ongoing history of bigotry, bullying, animal abuse, and other abusive behavior. The hypocrisy is... I don't know what he means by that. And until he can prove that, and he better prove that, because that's right there is slander, right? And so he says ongoing history of bigotry, bullying, animal abuse, and other abusive behavior. I want to look at the one word that's the most the biggest word, the awe-inspiring word that makes me sit here and like, are you kidding me?
Abuse.
Bigotry?
No.
Bigotry, of all the words. Bigotry? I know this man's not talking. I know he's not talking. Bad enough the FGC. Bigotry? There's racism in all of gaming. Period. That's not even an opinion. That's not even subjective. That's an objective fact.
Hold on. I gotta interject.
Jump in.
Dynamic Voltage says, hard to take you seriously when you defend scumbag cheaters like Todd Rogers and Billy Mitchell.
That's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. It's just like the other guy says he can't give any respect to Low Tier God. What's the problem? You see the difference between me and the rest of the community is, if you have an opinion about me, you don't want to respect me or take me serious, that is your God-given right to have that opinion. What is the problem? Have that opinion. I'm not going to... Well, you have some people who may want to try to change your opinion, and I'm okay. If you want that opinion about me, it's good. It's all good. I don't see the problem here. So, if that's what he thinks about me, okay. So, going back to Ultra David, right? He goes on and says, unfortunately, by the time we found out, it was too late. to find a replacement player. So they literally tried to, he's literally admitting that they're trying to undermine Low Tier God. They literally tried to undermine him. This is what happens in the actual esports scene as a whole. I'm going to stand on this point right here, what he just said, because he can't take that back. He can't take that back. This is what people do in not only the FGC, but esports as a whole. And a lot of it is done to black people. So you talk about bigotry. Really? Interesting. Interesting. The stories are not told because no platform is given to anyone. But literally, he just admitted that they tried to undermine and get a replacement. Prime example. The Score Esports put out a video about Justin Wong a couple weeks, 3 or 4 weeks back. In the video, Ultra David says, Justin Wong joined a legitimate esports team. That's like a little slap in my face. Literally slapped me in my face virtually. Because what he's trying to say is that Empire Arcadia was not a legitimate esports team. Undermining me. Why would you do that? Why would you do that? Justin Wong's video has nothing to do. His forward progression since he left the Empire has nothing to do with me. I don't benefit from it. I don't do anything. So why do that? Why poke those jabs? Why try to undermine me? And this constantly goes on. This is the stuff Mike Ross talks about. These are the things that go on behind the scene that is never put on in the scene. There's a new guy. I want to bring some props as this guy. His name is Ernesto, right? He's been a part of the FGC for quite some time. He's not actually new. He's new in terms of like the platform he's trying to use and stuff like that. Give me a second. Let me bring him up in my history, right? I want to bring up something about him real quick, right? Yeah.
Ernesto's from Texas.
Ernesto, yeah, he's from Texas. Ernesto Lopez.
He's been around for a while. I've seen him do stuff with like Texas Showdown, things of that nature.
Now, the reason why I like this guy is because, or I like his new show, so to speak, is because he's like the TMZ for the FGC. And if he stays true to the scene, he can help make the scene significantly grow, which means he can provide a platform. This is what the On Blast show was supposed to do. But the On Blast show took a different direction, a more, what's the word for this? Toxic's not the word. Vitrion's not the word. They took a more broad, raw approach, too raw, that they then got blackballed, and the platform has been significantly marginalized, where they attack issues in the FGC that you will never see on SRK, you will never see on event hubs, you will never see these things on any major platform that would give a lot of light to injustice done in the scene to correct the situation at hand. A lot of it's just swept under the rug. That's it. I hope Ernesto is the type of guy where he goes, you know something? I have no hands or sides to pick. I see something wrong in the scene, I'm reporting on it. Whoever gets blown up gets blown up. And so far from what I'm looking at, that's what it looks like he's doing. So Ernesto, if you actually get a chance to watch this, I hope you stay true to what you do, man. Do what you do. So getting back to the situation here, these are the type of things that go on behind the scene. And this is why you'll wonder, how come some of the scene's most, like, players that deserve an opportunity never get an opportunity? Because guys like Ultra David and company, there's a clique of guys that literally determine, if they have enough time and power, they can go and give word to determine whether you go up, whether you get the opportunity or not.
And to interject, let's actually put some weight to behind what we're saying. A couple years ago, there's a tournament, final round. Guess what happened at final round? There's Jabali. He's a tournament organizer of another major tournament, which happened to be on the Capcom Pro Tour. This dude was at final round, not only competing, but advertising his own tournament.
Bad enough he did that. He knows how powerful his voice is. He then goes on social media and denigrates the man's tournament after he was just there competing and advertising in it,
And
without permission.
With context, final round was the first major tournament of Street Fighter V's life cycle. That was the first stop on the Capcom Pro Tour that had, what was it, over 2,000 entrants at the time?
No, 1,000. 1,000 was the first. It was the first
1,000.
major to get over 1,000. Yes.
1,000. So let's keep that in mind. Why would Jabali do this? And I want the YouTube and everyone who's watching the stream to think about this. Do you think that came from Jabali, or do you think that came from someone else?
Exactly. There's a circle of people out there who are constantly attacking other people. Number two, don't want to bring this up, but there's kind of a trend here, guys. Larry is black, but let's not kind of hold on the race thing, because it's like, oh my God, Triforce is pulling the race card. Stop being racist. If you stop that, then we can't pull the race card anymore. Cookie, Fusung E Cookie, New Yorker, from the FGC says, Triforce, Cookie here. It's been a while. I'm happy to see that you are as clairvoyant as ever. Please continue to defend and set forth the truth of a human reality and place proper context. Oh, of course. Of course. I don't have to. Just because I don't agree with anything doesn't mean I'm not going to add context to it. A lot of people take things way out of context. We are in a social justice warrior age where people are making things sound like someone has a fear of something the Crusades has started, and it's like, whoa. Oh, sorry, little baby brother. Sasha's sleeping. Oh, Seth. So these things have to be brought into context so that we can properly address the situation. And when you look at guys like Ultra David, he takes things out of context so that the situation does not get addressed properly. And the fact he said that me and my guys tried to sit down and determine who should be on the show. First of all, the talent, the commentators should have no power in determining what talent gets on a TV show. Stay in your lane, boy. Commentate. You're not the director and you're not the talent coordinator. Stay in your box. The fact that he even admitted he did that just goes to show you, if he did that out open, what else is being done? Some of you guys out here have great fighting game champions that you would love to know more about and so forth and stuff. And you ever wonder, how come they never get any burn? How come they never come around? How come they never get these opportunities? Because they're people, assy people like Ultra David, who's in the background telling people or using his power to influence people to determine who gets what. I love what E-League has done. E-League has done a they got the E-League's, from an outsider looking in at the E-League's from the E-League's what's the word for this? It's called it's not a sitcom. Oh my goodness, I'm getting the words wrong with here. What do you call this again? Reality show, right? So as a reality show, when I look at the E-League, it is the 100% representation of the FGC. 100%. There is no lie that you see there in terms of the image. That is what the FGC looks like. And I'm glad that they picked those people. You have guys like L0WTIERGOD, out of pocket, wild, eccentric, passionate black guy. And then you have the other reserved black guy. Then you have the Asian girl. Then you have the light-skinned guy. Then you have the white guy. Then you have the Arab guy. And then you have the trans person. Yeah, that's the FGC. That's it. So I don't know what Ultra David's talking about. Because if he thinks the FGC is a representation of him, beat it. You are the minority. You are not the representation of the FGC. You are a minority. You wasn't at the arcades in the streets on the block. You wasn't like, beat it. Get out of here with that. This is what makes the FGC the FGC. That's why people like it. Because it's real over here. And you're false. Facts. You're a fraud. Fronting for your corporate broads. Bars. Ain't nothing real about this dude. Trying to speak up for the scene. You don't speak for the scene. I don't even know how this guy even got a chance to even speak for the scene. And then want to sit here and undermine people from the back. Get out of here with that, man. Where was this guy? When Street Fighter was in the arcades, and you had the Mexicans and the Asians and the blacks going in on the West Coast at the arcade, where was Ultra David? In his prep school. Boy. This is the same dude talking all that crap. Listen, there's a way in today's society where you can take the cultural aspect of the gaming scene and get that on TV. This society today is not interested in the fake TV. We want to know what is going on out there. And in order for us to get a reality of what's going on out there, we need the reality. It is up to the directors and the producers to be able to control that reality to where it's acceptable and digestible on TV. But to hide it is wrong. And Ultra David, you're wrong for trying to hide it. You and your boys, wrong for trying to hide it. That's why the FGC can't go anywhere. You guys are trying to control something you have no control over. You can't control the culture of the FGC. Who you? Who are you? Oh, you think because you have a little law degree? Boy, no one cares about that out here. No one. The FGC's from the streets. Literally. We're from the arcade. We're on the block. That's where we come from. The block. So don't try to come in here and try to prep it up to a little bow tie and stop it. Beat it. No one's going to talk to you about it because we got to have people in the right positions, you know. Everyone wants to make sure that they're not what's the word? They're not cutting their nose to spite their face. Well, I can speak on these things.
Let me interject really quick. Just hold that thought. So just to take a look in the chat. So Fly Nation TV says, to be fair, I'm assuming he's talking about Ultra David here. He was with the MD crew during pre-2009, and he said something else. He said, and also most of the folks on the show wasn't in the grimy time.
Most of the folks on the show wasn't in the grimy time. You're going to sit here and tell me that, oh, he said most. Okay. Taking the context what you're saying. Most of the show wasn't in the grimy time. But one or two people were there in the grimy time. Deyasha is one of them, Big Boss. He was definitely there in the grimy time. So, you further prove my point. The show has a collection of all the reality pieces of the FGC. New blood, old blood. Wild, calm. Guy, girl, gender. Well, or all three different genders, all multiple races, all different type of personalities, different ages. I don't see the problem with E-League. What's wrong with the show? This is a representation of the FGC. And it's entertaining. That's why we watch it. That's why we watch it. We don't watch it because of the commentary of Ultra David. You shouldn't even have that job. Yipe should have that job. Facts. Why does he have that job?
On that point, a lot of the people, especially most of the FGC, they don't like quote-unquote esports yikes. Everyone prefers when you see Android 16 and he does dunking fools and he says Michael Jordan, Charles Barkley. That's what people want to hear. Now, I'm not saying that color commentary and having a stats guy isn't necessary, but for the majority of people, they want to hear yipes unchained.
Yeah, but then at the same time, community, you need to back up. At the very same time, because I'm not going to condone the buffoonery on TV. It has to be digestible for the TV because you have to share the content. The content isn't only for the FGC. The content is for mainstream. This is where the director's job is to find a way to get the culture, keep it traditional to as real as it can be, but then cultivate it where it can be digestible for everyone and anyone to understand who's watching it on TV. A balance must be made. It's about balance. And you have guys like Ultra David who wants to abuse his influential power to destabilize this balance. And no one speaks on it because no one really understands the psychology behind it. Some people go, Triforce is being brave for speaking. I am not being brave. I have limited myself. I haven't been limited. I have limited myself in the FGC. My market isn't the FGC. It was never the FGC. I just so happen to have godlike players on my team that represented our brand that made us big in the FGC. Empire Arcadia is no longer big in the FGC. That doesn't mean we're dead. We're just not as great as we used to be. But that's because a lot of those players have left willingly on their own, because I don't really terminate anyone in EMP. In fact, I probably terminated less than 3 people in my 16 years for EMP. The members who have left have gone on to greener pastures. Others have not. Others have left and come back because they found out the pastures weren't as green. I speak because 2 things. A, it doesn't make a difference what I say in terms of like what would happen to me from the FGC. I've already been blacklisted, blackballed, blackmailed, all types of blacks. So that it doesn't make a difference. I know how to. I've been around the scene long enough to know how to navigate the foolishness. And number 2, it isn't my market. My market is Africans in gaming. We've been pushed into that direction, and over the years, I've come to accept that that's what EMP should focus on. Africans in gaming. Does that mean that we will not have other ethnicities in our organization? Nah, we definitely will always keep the world. Africa is the world, so that means every race is African. But that's another thing. We don't want to get into that. But I want to focus more on people that look like me, that are my color or darker, because they are not represented. Yeah, they're just not they're not represented properly and in a sufficient manner. They're underrepresented. Facts. Argue all you want. This is something Mike Ross learned. That's why Mike Ross just came off the chain. He learned that. And for all the few black prominent figures that are in the scene that are benefiting, they know they can't speak. They can't speak on it. Because this will, the people that put them in power, this is racism all over. Systematic racism. This is the best. In any event, I'm just happy to know that I was never a part of the system, was never put in chains, or what we would call this political or professional bondage. Nah, not me. I come from this. I come from the Nat Turner blood. We out here, we murking people. We straight eviscerate. Try to bring that garbage over here. Now you get your
Darky.
Yeah, stop that. We're on stream.
Hey, mute this fool. Like, mute this fool. Like, I'm so sick of Sub Robin. Like, we're
calm down.
Hold on,
calm down. Everyone relax. Everyone relax. All right, let's not make a.
I'm never taking a
Please don't
block.
call me a fool, sir. I've never insulted you. I don't know you. Please don't call me a fool.
He doesn't. He's not calling you a fool in that regard. Sub Robin. He just doesn't like when you are. When you come on and you say stuff like that at the wrong time. Jagan speaks openly like that. He calls everybody fool or boy or whatever, but not in the insulting way. I don't want you two to fight because y'all are both cool people. Y'all just he's being introduced to you in the wrong level. After this stream, me, you, and him will have a talk, and we'll sort that out after the stream.
No, I'm not upset about anything. It's fine for me. I just asked. I just asked for him not to, but it's fine. All right, if that's the case.
No, but I'm going to talk to both of you guys after the stream on that. All right, Cito, thank you for the $1.25 donation. Let me read out your actual donation. because I think it's relative to the topic that we're talking about. Then we're going to go to Reddit, and then we're going to close off this stream. So let me see something. I recently became a fan of Low Tier God. I like that he keeps it real, and I understand when he rages over fighting games. I just think these people in the FGC just don't like people that speak out. No, they don't. No, they don't. They definitely don't like when people speak out positive. Well, they don't like when people speak out realistically about the FGC. They want a more controlled, stainless steel, professional, but then that goes against everything the FGC is. That is not the FGC. There's a way to make the FGC more digestible for people without having to sacrifice its reality, without having to sacrifice or be compromise who or what the FGC is. There's a way. The problem is that those people who have the biggest influence and in power, they don't come from the actual origin of the FGC. Let me explain the origin of the FGC for those who are watching this video that don't have an idea what the origin of the FGC is. And I'll explain it. I'm going to keep it 1 billion. The FGC, in what it is a generation of arcade players who society deem as juvenile delinquents. And it's either we had these options. We was in the street, pitching on the block, catching the jokes, gang banging. Or you're doing that. Or we found something constructive to do in the streets. The most constructive thing we could have done in the streets was play video games. So we went to arcades. They brought the drugs and the prostitutions into the arcades. This is nationwide. So for anyone, oh, that's New York. Beat it. That's sunny Gulf land. That's everywhere. East to west, border to border. So for anyone who wants to try to be like, nah, that wasn't a... Yeah, whatever, B. I'm 40 years old. You're talking to an OG. I was there in them days. The 80s. I know what the arcades was like. And I've traveled enough throughout the FGC in the FGC's midterm years in the early 2000s to understand how the arcades were. I was like, oh wow, it's just like New York. Yup. Maryland, Virginia, Ohio, Chicago, Texas, Florida, California, NorCal, SoCal, Seattle, you name it. It doesn't matter where. That's what it was. Facts. You can argue and try to hide it, dust it under the rug because you see the suits coming and you want the money. The suits want that, actually. Idiot. The suits want that. They're like, oh, we could package that properly, put that out there on TV and let people know. People will watch that. Yeah, because people want to watch stuff that's real. We don't want to watch. The fighting game community is trying so hard to be like the LCS. We're not like the LCS. And I don't mean like how they host their events. I'm talking about the culture. The culture of League of Legends has nothing to do with the FGC. You can present it. Stage, strobe lights, big screens, confetti, trophies, teams, uniforms. That's great for the look. But doesn't mean you have to change who you are. Or where you came from. Or the tradition of what it is. Keep it real. Now, do I condone the drug selling and the prostitution and all this other buffoonery and negative stuff in this? No, I definitely don't. Obviously, I'm not advocating for that. I'm saying that's what we were. That's where we came from. And many of us grew up trying to clean it up and did a great job at cleaning it up. But then now, those people who grew up are usually mixed race, of African descent, Mexican, Native American descent. But I find something very funny. Very few of those people who came up in the scene are in power. Very few. Evo is the exception to the rule. But outside of that, it's a bunch of 09ers. Guys shortly afterwards. I give it 2007. I'll give them 2 years. Came around. White guys. Okay, want to be a part of the scene? Sure, we're inclusive. FGC don't discriminate. White people's been here since the dawn of day. In fact, white people's been in the FGC, yeah, since the FGC was created. But we're talking about not the old white guys. We're talking about the new white guys. We're not talking about Long Island Joe, old white guy, which he's actually young, but we're not talking about MK James. We're not talking about the old white guys. We're talking about the new white guys. And the new white guys get put on before the old white guys. When the old white guys was here in the streets with the blacks, the Mexicans, the Japanese guys, and the Asians as a whole, right? Cleaning up the scene. But these Rudy Poo, candy ass dudes appear, suit tie, got the job, and you're like, how did that happen? And I'm like, what? How did this guy? Oh, I guess. And then now these people blatantly abuse of power in social media, sitting here saying, we're trying to stop Low Tier God. We tried to stop him. And you thought that was cool to say? You literally thought that was cool to say that you tried to stop it. You're not the talent coordinator. And you tried to undermine Low Tier God, and you think that's okay. And the sad part is a lot of people think it's okay. And they're like, you guys do know that's wrong, right? It doesn't matter what Low Tier God's done. That's straight wrong. War Guts. Why do I have a feeling I know who War Guts is? Why do I have a feeling I know who War Guts is? Alright, shout outs to Wes. Yeah, Wes,
that has to be Wes.
Wes, you are an idiot. You are an idiot. You are an idiot. Thank you for the donation, Wes. Me and you got words after the stream, B. Yo, Wes is an idiot. So this, I just want to put the context out there, and there's a way to put the context out there without actually having to curse. So for any of the executives in the suits who want to see this, in fact, share this all around, guys. Yes, obviously it helps my channel get the views up, whatever, but don't worry about the messenger. It's the message. I'm actually trying to help the whole scene. The whole scene. This message is about inclusive, accepting everyone. That is what the FGC has always been about. The FGC has always accepted gays. The FGC has always accepted trans. The FGCs have always accepted racists, bigots. We accept everyone, the good and the bad. Mr. Assy David over here talking about he's not a representative. Foolishness, all lies. He's trying to protect his agenda, which is the same as ours. The only difference is his is exclusive, ours is inclusive. And you all need to understand that. These guys have to be checked. And that's why every now and then when I see some level of like ridiculous injustice comes on, I return to the fighting in community. Couple of backslaps, check people in place, regulate them, and put things into order. But let's go to the final part of this situation regarding the topic regarding a low tier god. So Jagan, you said that you saw something online that you want to bring to my attention on Reddit. You have the floor, my good sir.
Yes, so there was a Reddit post that talked about, it's actually funny about the author, but I don't want to get into it right now. So basically, there was a topic on Reddit, Kappa Reddit, where they're discussing E-League and all the contestants or participants on the show. So one of the comment threads I found, which was interesting, started with a username Stu Gotts. He says Mike Ross is right. And there was a couple replies, and then some dude named King Mufasa says Triforce was right with the asterisks, trying to, correct him. So I saw a couple of posts that I wanted to address on stream because I feel there's a lot of one, outright lies and misconceptions that we can address. So let me quote the user. This is a user by the name of Mr. Hot Wheels. He says, quote, Triforce was trying to make it big in esports and blacklisted when everyone inevitably found out how much of a scamming asshole he was. That's why he kept going to countries where people didn't know who he was. Remember when he missed his flight out of Paris on purpose and had to make a GoFundMe just to get back to the US. Now, before you address that, a lot of EMP detractors, they always like to bring up France. They always like to bring up Paris. And this is what this post is referring to. So after you address this, I'm just going to clip this out. And whenever I see it, I'm just going to post it. So Triforce, you have the floor.
Sorry about that. I had to mute to give you the floor. Well, just to give you context to the whole situation with the Paris situation. So guys, it's no secret that at a point in time we were stranded in Paris, myself and Dominion. France had invited Dominion to come down for an event for some video game tournament and whatnot, and I end up speaking to the people who organized the event and so forth. And MTV Game 1 was hosting an event, a show there. They were looking for international people to come over and help promote the FGC in France. I told them that I could come. And I could give them, because Dominion played for Empire Arcadia, I could represent on their television show, do interviews or whatever, promote the team, promote Dominion, and help and promote the entire French fighting game scene on a professional level on TV. I flew myself out there, right? Due to my sponsors that I had. I don't think I want to name them, just because I want to kind of avoid the drama. Right? So anyway, I go out there. They liked me and Dominion out there. Well, actually, they just really liked Dominion. I was just Dominion's manager walking around. So because I guess I don't play fighting games professionally, I'm just not going to get that respect that they give Dominion. And that's fine. It's whatever. I don't hold anything against that. They asked us if we could stay longer because they were having some arcade event there. And I told them, well, our tickets leave out on this day. The guy that asked for us to stay said, I can get you new flights back to America. And he says, to show you I'm serious, he spent $2,000 and got us a hotel to stay for a week later. He spent $2,000 on a hotel. Free continental breakfast. It was godlike too. And had a taxi cab pick us up from the hotel, bring us to his arcade. He pretty much used Dominion to bring more people down to his arcade. Held a Randant there, tournaments, all that. It was streamed in the whole 9 yards. So we said, okay, we'll stay. If he can buy us a hotel, I don't see why he couldn't buy us a flight. Then at the end of the week, he opted out. So we were stuck. So we had to call back to America for help. We could have made a big scene about it and trash France, but I'm not going to let one person misrepresent all of France. So we didn't talk about it. We just said we need help. We're stuck in France, we missed our flight, and we need to go back. The FGC then took that, blew it out of proportion, tried to, oh, look how irresponsible you are, and da-da-da-da-da. But let's flip the page on a different level, right? Mago comes to America. Mago goes to a tournament. Mago loses his passport. The fighting game community flocks in. Yo, Mago, you need a place to stay? We got you here. My man took a vacation. And the community GoFunded me money. Well, they raised money. I don't know how they raised money, but they raised money for him to get a brand new passport so he could go back home. They held him down and flew him home. In France, Mr. Karate held me and Dominion down when we missed our plane. We raised our money. We went home. But it's a problem when Triforce, it happens to Triforce, but not a problem when it happens to Mago. So there's this recurring theme here. People of a certain color, you just can't get a break. You do it, demonized. Someone do it, oh, it's an accident. That's the theme. That's actually the theme in life. That's happened to black people all over the place. So that's just normal. Then they go, oh, there he goes pulling the race card. Stop being racist. Why is it an issue that me and Dominion got stranded and we raised a GoFundMe and people put together money and flew us out, and great people like Mr. Karate in France held us down and gave us a place to stay? I don't understand. What's the problem? Like, we're not the first that it happened to, and we won't be the last. So why is that an issue? Why is that even on Reddit? Like, I don't understand. Like, that's a topic on Reddit? That's a topic against me? That's crazy. And see, and this is why they don't allow me platforms to speak on. They don't allow platforms for me to speak on because when I put it into context, it shuts the argument down. So a lot of these things are said in back Reddit rooms. All the accusations against me, back Reddit room. None of this can be stated out in the open because Triforce can just rebuttal. And the rebuttal debunks. Then they just look like haters, like right now. So you can clip this and give it back to Reddit. You've been debunked. So what's your next part now?
Okay, so another user, his name was Nabu Claw. He says that people, quote, people forget that it was Triforce who first blew up this whole esports takeover thing years ago, and he's referencing how E-League is getting involved with this reality show and having all the contestants and participants on the show. The video that he linked was a rant that you had on the Long Island Joe show. However, the response by NoGuard139 is very interesting. He says, quote, excuse me, are you kidding? Triforce was the biggest effing sellout to the esports overlords. He would spread them cheeks to any sponsor he could potentially get to EMP. His wet dream was to introduce the esport to the FGC and be the guy getting the big bucks, except that EMP is dead and he is performing acts on some corner, end quote.
I gotta wipe the sweat off. Okay, how do I address this? This sounds like foolishness. I think people have the wrong perception about me and the whole esports. The guy is right about one thing. I was definitely here to help spread esports in the FGC. My job was to make sure that the FGC was ready to transform into esports. But at the same time, I wanted the FGC to maintain a significant control over its own ecosystem. That not to let the suits come in and take over everything. That you want to create this balance and work together with the suits. Not have the suits come in and take over the scene. The fighting game community doesn't listen to me because I'm demonized, marginalized, blackballed, and blacklisted. So some of the wisdom that I give out, and yes, that is wisdom, nothing I have said then has not yet come to pass. It has all come to pass. So I'm right. So I'm not being conceited in saying wisdom. I was right. That's just what it is. I gave out that wisdom because I wanted everyone to be able, if I didn't have the power to be able to put things into place to help the scene grow, that hopefully the scene would get that knowledge and use that knowledge for itself. The true sellouts are guys like Ultra David. He's a true sellout. His job is to create a network exclusive of elite people in the FGC that talk directly with the suits who are coming in to try to create this global esports infrastructure for the FGC. And they want to be exclusive to that. They don't want the scene to have any input. They have the input, so they can determine who gets what and who doesn't. Prime example, so people don't think I'm making it up. Let me read it again. Unfortunately, by the time we found out it was too late to find a replacement player, a couple of us refused to be on the show with him, and ESL accommodated us, switching up the commentary rotation. Although I don't know what OFC means. I'm not literate like that. I have nothing against my friends who ended up doing the show. So they literally tried to get Low Tier God removed and replaced. So said by Ultra David himself. It says right there. Let me read it once. It was too late to find a replacement player. So they're trying to influence a replacement player. That's what guys like Ultra David is. Ultra David's a suit, guys. Yes, he comes from the fighting game community, but he don't come from the block. Came around afterwards. After the block started to settle down. And he's one of those guys like, I want to get into a suit and tie and run it. I want to run all these thugs, so to speak. And when he sees Low Tier God, he thinks thug. And we can't have that there. So, I gave that wisdom because I wanted to stop guys like him from getting into absolute power. And he's going to get a absolute power because of what he does. Now, some people are like, but Triforce, why are you attacking Ultra David? I'm actually not. Actually, what I'm doing here is I am giving my opinion and my comments based on his actions towards Low Tier God, which I think are wrong. I don't attack Ultra David as a person. I don't even know him. Keep it 100% real. He's actually attacked me before. And it's kind of funny, like, I'm like, why are you attacking me? I don't know you. I don't really talk to you. I don't say anything to you. I don't say anything negative to you, whatever. But it's been years since the last attack. And when he's attacking Low Tier God, I take that as an attack on me. Because he's attacking my people. Yeah, I'm claiming Low Tier God. Wakanda. Woo! He's attacking my people. Straight up. That's what it is. Yes, that's what it is. You're attacking my people.
No.
I'm saying something. So.
No.
Yes. Yes, yes, yes. Unapologetically black. I don't like it.
Oh, can we give him up? Can we trade him for somebody?
Who, me or Low Tier God? No.
No, Low Tier God. Can we trade him for somebody?
No.
Like, race relations? Can we get like some? Like, I'll trade him for like some like let's say an Asian that's like on the fence, like Marn. I'll trade him. Can we
nah. Marn is cool and all. Marn is cool and all, but no, I can't. I can't. I'll stick with Low Tier God. But just to let you know, Phil, we're streaming, so I'm trying to keep this.
Shouldn't be on here while I'm taking the shit.
What? Don't repeat it. Don't repeat it. Don't repeat it. I just got the last word. Oh my goodness, we're streaming. So the thing here is that it's not. I don't agree with everything Low Tier God says. I watch his shows.
God not.
No, some of the stuff he says is crazy. But I understand that Low Tier God has a persona he plays into. I understand that. I'm like, it should be obvious as day. Only a... Let me watch how I insult people. I find it shameful that people cannot see that the persona of Low Tier God is not who he is as a person. Like, that's like saying Dwayne Johnson is The Rock. Dwayne Johnson plays as The Rock, and in his everyday life can have aspects of The Rock play into his everyday interaction with society, but he isn't The Rock.
That is very true. But then he doesn't go on his personal social media and start acting like The Rock. He acts like himself.
Oh no, that's because The Rock. That's because time out. In all fairness, that's because The Rock is a seasoned veteran professional, and Low Tier God is not. We're holding Low Tier God to a standard from a scene that doesn't have standards.
Well, I'm not the one who said The Rock. Like, I'm holding him to basic human ethics standards.
Well, the basic human ethics standards I can't apply to him because of the scene that he comes from. I'm guilty of it. And if I can be forgiven to myself, I can at least give the opportunity. This is all about the opportunity here. My argument is that Ultra David did not give Low Tier God the benefit of the doubt, or did not face him with the opportunity. Hey, listen, you've been selected for the E-League. There's a lot of things I don't agree with you that you've done in your videos in the past or whatever, but you're now, quote unquote, prime time. And you're going to be setting a big example to a wider audience of what the FGC is alike. Please prove me wrong in my opinion about you as a scumbag or whatever it is he thinks, and allow Low Tier God to respond. He at least owes him that. But to do this, Phil, I'm reading his own words. This is called undermining. This is denigrating him. Quote, with an assy news that Low God is showing up on E-League, here's a quick story about him being on ESL's King of the Hill last year and my thoughts. When the commentators found out that Low Tier God was going to be on the show, all of us were against it. We didn't want to give any eyeballs or legitimacy to someone with a significant and ongoing history of bigotry. I just found that funny. I even brought up the word bigotry. That's just a joke right there, right? Bullying, animal abuse, and other abusive behavior. Unfortunately, by the time we found out, it was too late to find a replacement player. That means, wait a minute, let me get this straight. So E-League hires you as a commentator, for commentary. The people who are putting together this reality show, they have a what's the name of these people? The casting, right? The people who do the casting. They have a casting director. The casting director is looking for personalities that they feel will best do the show. You as a commentator step out of pocket. You step out of your lane, your box, your crate. He stepped out of his crate, out of his lane, to try to use his influence to get a replacement player. That type of behavior is unbecoming, unprofessional, and ethically wrong in the FGC or any scene. Period. Because that's called blackballing, blacklisting. Period. Any race, any...
Because Low Tier God is black?
No, I don't care if you did it to a white person.
Black? Would it be called whitelisting?
Well, I didn't make up the word blacklisting. What's the word for this? What's a word without black?
Whiteballing?
What's a word without saying a shade?
N-word balling?
What he did there is absolutely wrong, and I'm not being subjective about it. I'm being objective about it.
You can use exile. I think that technically works.
Does it though?
Okay.
It can be. You can, within the context that it can be. But the point I'm trying to say is that he did that to anybody, it was wrong. He sneaked this EMP in the whole score esports piece with Justin Wong. He sneaked dissed me. Justin Wong in 2009 on 10 finally joined a legitimate esports team. that was the jab. That was the slow poke from prison. He just walked up to me and just said, jigged me a couple of times and kept it moving. I was like, word, damn. Like, why you like that, B? Why you a hater? Like, why you doing that? So, despite all the faults about Low Tier God, and no one is perfect, right? I just think that was just wrong. He should have given the man the benefit of the doubt. Be a man and call him. Since you got all them words, let the man speak for himself and try to say. I think it's, like I said, you weren't here earlier in the show when I told Jagan that the people that's been selected for the E-League show is a true 100% representation of the FGC. It is. You have all three genders, right? Multiple ethnicities, different personalities, from chaotic to the cool, calm, collective guy, and people from different ages of the FGC. So you have Deyasha from the Phoenix days, so he's OG, to Guilty, who I'm going to say is from the new era. So I'm looking at it, I'm like, yeah, that's the FGC for you. So what's the problem? And here is Ultra David talking about how he believes that Low Tier God does not represent the FGC, but I brought up that Ultra David doesn't represent the FGC. Because what the FGC actually is and where we came from the arcades out on the streets with the drugs, with the violence and the prostitutions, and it was the players that cleaned up the scene. The community cleaned itself up. And now here comes Bowtie Boy with his little doctrine or whatever he has.
Now you're starting to insult him. So.
Oh no! I was insulting him earlier in the show. Earlier in the show.
But you said 5 seconds ago that I'm not insulting him.
No. I'm not going to call him certain names that could be considered to be hatred speech or hate speech, but I'm going to insult him because
let's slightly move away from that. Let me address something in the chat. So No Guard 06 is something interesting. He says, then why doesn't he ever act normal? Referring to Low Tier God. Whenever he gets ostracized and hated because of this persona, why doesn't he step out of it? Why doesn't he show his true self? And let me address that. So I went to Evo 2015, right? I actually saw Low Tier God. Talked to him for a little bit. He was actually fine. And that's actually the point I made earlier in the stream. You have to separate what you see online versus someone in an actual I get it. People, they don't leave the house. They don't go to tournaments. They just watch it on stream. So what you see in your mind is what you get. But actually go and talk to these people. You will find out, hey, maybe it's an act. Maybe they're trying to be They're trying to be entertaining for their streams. If someone were to
over the top, etc.
Yeah, if someone were to judge me of how I am just looking at my YouTube streams, they wouldn't get the full picture. And that's what people have to understand when you're trying to, address or try to critique Low Tier God and his actions when you don't know the person. You don't know any of these people. That's all I want to say.
So in any event regarding the whole situation with that, I just find it with Ultra David, it's not the first time Ultra David has ever attacked someone in the scene. He's definitely attacked me. He's done a little jabs here and there that I try to ignore, and they continue to do it behind the scenes, and then some of them just audaciously out in the public. And I fire back because it doesn't mean anything to me in the long run, because this is not about me. This is about LTG. And I just wanted to put this out there to address some of the hatred above it. So let me close off with a message to Low Tier God. Right? So what is his real first name? Is it
Delon Sparrow?
Delon Sparrow. Yeah, I know his last name Sparrow. All right. So Delon, I'm speaking to the person now. This shouldn't be anything new to you. I'm not the old man trying to teach any young bucks, and I don't want to come off like I'm trying to school you. But I would like to give you some advice. Things that I've learned the hard way. I had to learn through experience because I didn't have anyone to necessarily advise me until KDZ came around in the scene. Well, that's not fair, because then you have Kubu and Wes and Justin and a lot of other people advised me. But it was more on things regarding in the FGC as opposed to where KDZ and guys like Jagan tried to advise me and Pauldron on things regarding real life. Or I shouldn't say real life. That just makes it sound like everything else is fake. But more things dealing outside of gaming from a personal point of view. I read your response to Ultra David online. Excellent response. In fact, don't follow up from it anymore. Leave it at that. You've said what you had to say. You have an opportunity here now where they put the microscope on you, and they're waiting for anything to blow up off of you. You are in control of your own destiny right now. You have an opportunity here to show people how you rise above the hatred, right? And how you can benefit from the opportunity. Don't give these guys a time of day, and make sure you separate. Try to make it more apparent who Low Tier God is and Mr. Sparrow, so people understand that the content that you create to put on YouTube isn't a reflection of who you are outside of YouTube, and that it is literally for the purpose of YouTube and entertainment. You got to put those clause in there, because apparently people can't get it. They literally think that if they meet you in person and you go in a tournament and you lose, you're going to take your controller and fling it to the wall or at somebody. And it's like, what are you, stupid? He's not going to do that. Like, he does that in his house because, A, he knows people are going to watch it, clip it, put it online, promote for him. Yo, look at Low-Tier guy, he's salty. That's mad genius of you to do that because you baited all them idiots to do it. Morons. That's why he got picked up. Because, and you think the casters who pick Low-Tier God don't see that? They see it. That's why they're like, oh, we definitely got to get him. And I'm sure.
Look at this quote. If you look at the E-League video, look at what Low-Tier God says when he gets in the house. He goes, "Thank the trolls. Thank you for this."
Yes.
That's literally what he says.
Because you trolls, you put him up there. You got him there. That's why he said it. That's exactly why. Because when I'm watching that, I'm like, yo, this guy's a genius. You don't have to like him. You don't have to like him. But you cannot sit here and try to take away an opportunity presented to the man. Leave the man alone. This has nothing to do with, oh, he's going to hurt the FGC. Someone brought up, there are other people in the FGC who have done things. I don't even want to mention them here on the show because with all good, there comes the darkness. And if Low-Tier God, if what Low-Tier God is accused of or has done is considered to be darkness, he is the saint compared to the other stuff that goes on in the FGC by people in power, or at least associated with those people who've committed those legally criminal acts. But no one blinks an eye. And on that note, I'll leave it to you guys. Anyone wants to close out, we'll give any. Phil, if you have any closing comments, you can say what you want to say. Jagan, A-Train.
Okay. Yabube, yabube, yabube,
oh
yabube.
My God.
Yeah, this is Bird Up, the worst show on television.
Jagan, save us with the closing comment, please.
With a closing statement, all I'd like to say is, when you want to accuse someone, or you hear things or you see things on Reddit about what so-and-so has done, I want you to think of people who have actually committed crimes, actually been arrested, and you see them at the tournament. Why doesn't the FGC or the community banish them, ban them, exile them? If committing a criminal act, even acts that have made national headlines on Kotaku, yet they still get to walk around tournaments, no one gets to bring up their past or criminal history. I want you to think about that and think about why they go after EMP, they go after Triforce, they go after Low-Tier God. Just think about it. That's all I want to say.
The right people like them.
All right.
There you go.
So Mist came in and made a devil's donation. He says, this donation is for you, buddy, and he donated 666. This guy's like... oh, he's something else. All right, guys. Thank you guys for joining us. Phil, A-Train, Jagan, thank you guys for coming in with your opinions and stuff like that to kind of give contrast to the whole situation. Anyone who's interested, you can share this video throughout the entire FGC so that everyone can get a more open look at the entire situation in full context, as opposed to the controlled narratives of those who are in power and have influence that they want to make exclusive. And on that note, I'll see you guys tomorrow. Good night.